Here we go. Aldon Smith, remember him? Hasn't played in the NFL since being suspended back in 2015. Yet, as we know, 5 years later, Smith's officially been reinstated and will be eligible to join his new Cowboys teammates and the virtual program starting next week. Dallas is also hoping to get Randy Gregory back from suspension, and they expect a decision about him from the NFL pretty soon. Many question the Cowboys selecting CeeDee Lamb. I was probably at the front of the line there, even though Lamb's a great player. I just thought they had so many glaring, gaping holes on defense. I was perplexed by it, though they did obviously make up for that in terms of a lot of attention in the other picks, or with the other picks in the 2020 draft. Here's the question. Inbounds, out of bounds. The Cowboys' defense will be a stronger unit than their offense in 2020.
I'm going to say out of bounds. They're going to be really good. They did pick up Clinton Diggs, so it's like their secondary is sound after losing some players on that side. But, I mean, this team is built on offense. Obviously, Dak is as good as he is, but Zeke and Michael Gallup, who gets as underrated as good as he is, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper. I mean, yeah, this is all about their offense in so many ways. Their defense will be sound enough, but I don't think the defense is going to overpower this offense.
It shouldn't, and if it does, then something went awry with the offense. Though I'm with you, this defense has a chance to be a lot better than I thought when I was on, not really on board with the CeeDee Lamb. Again, not the player, but the attention to the need with the 17th overall pick in the first round. They went and they got a cornerback in round 2, a big D tackle. The cornerback Diggs is from Bama, the tackle's from Oklahoma, so you go into 2 big conferences there. You get a corner in round 4. You got another defensive end in round 5. So they and then Clinton Diggs. The thing is, though, while the defense will be an asset, the offense, this is, and I know that they put up a ton of yards last year, and they put up points too, but they were somewhat hollow. Some really important drives fell a little short. Too many threes rather than sevens. And, let's face it, Tyron Smith, not a kid. You lost Fredericks. Zach Martin's, I think, going to be 30. So there's some slight attrition on that line. And now it's time to pop now. I mean, you got Cooper, you got other receivers, you got a quarterback who's looking to get paid, you got maybe the best runner or the second or third best runner in football. The offense should be really good, and the defense should be good, but a tick behind. I'm with you, Tiki. The answer to that is out of bounds. Josh Rosen, maybe, if you look at it, the most difficult path for any top 10 quarterback in recent history in the NFL. I mean, just wacky from the start. Drafted by Arizona, they fire Steve Wilkes after a year, and then obviously they draft Kyler Murray. They trade him to Arizona. He goes to Arizona. Ryan Fitzpatrick starts. Then he gets a little look, and he doesn't do very well. I think it was 1 touchdown and 5 picks. They pull the plug on him. Back to Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now they draft Tua. I mean, it's tough sledding. But now there's thoughts and there's reports, more specifically, that teams are calling the Dolphins to check on the availability of Josh Rosen, in or out. The Dolphins would be better off dealing Rosen before the season than keeping him around.
I'm going to say out of bounds, BT, because we still do have that question about Tua. Now, wherever Josh is being looked at by, whatever team is looking at him, they're not looking at him to come in and be a starter. And so if I'm the Miami Dolphins, I'm hanging on to him for as long as I need to make sure that Tua is good. And if Tua is great and competing for the starting job with Ryan Fitzpatrick, and even if he doesn't win the starting job immediately, he's solidified himself as a backup, then you can move Rosen. But right now, nobody's desperate. Right? Nobody's desperate for Josh Rosen, so it's not going to help you to move him right now. However, later, before the season starts, if somebody gets hurt, or a couple backups go down, teams might be desperate for Josh Rosen. So I'm going to say out of bounds, hold him.
Very logical explanation. I'm going to disagree, though, just based on the circumstances. I'm going to say inbounds here, and I'm with you. Nobody's going to make a push to make him a starter at this point. Hell, Jameis Winston's not starting. Cam Newton doesn't have a job yet. Josh Rosen's certainly not getting brought anywhere to start right now. And it's probably the prudent play from Miami's point of view to, get through the summer, see what happens. There's going to be an injury. There's going to be something that happens, and then maybe you get, if you could get maybe, a 5th rounder for him, maybe you get an incentive-based 4th rounder or whatever it might be. Maybe you get slight uptick in terms of draft equity if you move him. But I'm going to say inbounds because I think that teams are going to want to, whoever wants him, and maybe it's the Steelers. Yeah, I'm just thinking of who would even think of him as I don't know, maybe it's Pittsburgh, whatever. But it would be advantageous given this weird offseason that's already halfway gone. To get him now, this way there could be at least some semblance of familiarity with the playbook and the building, even if it's virtual. So, and you want your backup, even if he's going to be the backup, which he will be. You want the backup to be as up to speed as possible. I hear you. I could have easily gone that way. I almost did. But based on the pandemic and the unique circumstances, I'm going to say inbounds. Tiki, Major League Baseball sent out guidelines to teams outlining changes to procedures and behavior to keep players and staff healthy. One of the proposals was a temporary ban on, spitting, while chewing tobacco was banned back in 2016. Players do it all the time, obviously. Many still chew sunflower seeds and other items, and spitting. Listen, I mean, non-baseball players spit quite a bit. You spit on the golf course. Maybe. Just a lot of people do it. I was a big-time spitter when I played, but I was also dipping. So, now Giants skipper Gabe Kapler, says stopping the practice will be easier said than done. Inbounds, out of bounds. Baseball should fine players for spitting this year and suspend.
No.
Please say multiple-time offenders.
No, out of bounds, man. You can't help it. It's just natural sometimes.
Nonsense.
I mean, I'll spit sometimes when I'm just standing in the backyard.
Me too.
You know what I mean? Just
once in a while.
There's no way you could do that. Yes, you should maybe over-enforce the tobacco ban. Yeah. But you can't find guys for spitting out of bounds, man.
You know what you can do, and, somebody who used to dip, as a former dipper, you know all the tricks of the trade. That goes without saying. What you can do is, be proactive. I've got my water bottle here, right? Think about, I'm not proud of this in hindsight, but when I was younger, maybe I'd throw a dip in a movie theater or certainly on a long car ride, maybe even in the back of a classroom in college if it was a boring lecture. You've seen guys do that. Come on, in pro meetings. And you're obviously not going to spit on the floor, but you take the water bottle, empty, and maybe you spit in the bottle. And then maybe there's a way listen, I don't even know how to answer this in a reasonable way, except to say that it is unrealistic to think that Major League Baseball players are going to stop spitting. Yeah. It's part of the pastime. It's just you spit out of boredom half the time.
That's right.
So I'm going to say, no, fine players, of course not. And suspend them? Absolutely not. No chance. Out of bounds. The PGA Tour is going to hold its first sanctioned events next month in Texas, but many international players are concerned about the restrictions of returning to the course here in the United States. Case in point, three-time European Tour Golfer of the Year and two-time winner on the PGA Tour, Lee Westwood. That was the guy who everybody thought, Lee's going to finally get that first evasive, elusive major. And then we stopped saying it because he never got it, and he's probably never going to. But he's a good player. But there was a point for like 5 years, Lee Westwood's going to win this one. Lee Westwood's going to win the U.S. Open. Lee Westwood is actually very worried about the transition of the European players to American soil, and it's a distinct disadvantage, as he said. American players would have an unfair advantage over European players on this year's tour, given the current situation.
Yeah, this is inbounds, BT, because, think about what he just said. Like, you have to come over 2 weeks before and not do anything. Because when you're it's different than sheltering in place where you can, like we are all currently doing. We can go outside and do stuff. We need to go to the store. We can go to the store. If you're quarantined, and that's the current rule that he's alluding to, if you're quarantined, you can't do nothing, right? So not only you're not practicing, the Americans have a serious advantage if if these rules are still in place. So inbounds.
Yeah, my answer is inbounds as well. I wonder if there's some sort of possibility based on the event. Like a lot of these places have residences, nice condos on the course. Yeah. Can you, bring them over and at least allow them in windows of maybe 2 hours where they're alone on the range or with their short game coach or their psychologist? They got to practice.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
If they're stuck inside, it really is unfair. They have no chance. They might as well not even come.
That's what he's saying, and I'm with him. If you can't hone your game, especially as you get older, where the body, and Lee's not a kid, Lee's, big barrel chested, big strong guy. I'm sure he struggles to keep his dexterity as he's gotten a little bit older, and his what's the word I'm looking for there, T? Like just the ability to stretch his body out without getting hurt.
His flexibility.
Yep. So that's a problem. If he's holed up in a room, whether it's a 5-star, room at the Four Seasons,
doesn't even matter. Right?
It doesn't, or Fleabag Motel. It really doesn't matter. He's not playing. So if I'm a European player, I'm not even going to waste my time. I'll make an exception for a U.S. Open, but for these other events, I don't think I would come over and play.